Okay. How I define myself today is because of feminism. I grew up in the early 2000s, when women and men have had more equality in the US than any other time in our nation's history. In school, we celebrated the deserved freedom that women finally gained: voting rights, more equal pay, and the redefining of women's gender roles in the workplace. One result of this modern movement has been establishing strong female characters. From superheroes to everyday women, there has been a big push to show women can do anything. While studying these movements, doing so caused me to reflect on my life and look at the roles, responsibilities, traits, and even hobbies that have been assigned to each gender. After reading about all these women who redefined what it means to be a woman, I wanted to do the same. So, I set out to research, what does it mean to be a man? I began my search by diving into Greek history. According to Ted Lendon, a Greek and Roman historian, he attributes the reason men don't show emotion to the Greek definition of manhood. In the early Greek age, men were taught to suppress emotions and even idolized Pericles, a Greek leader who didn't cry at his own children's funerals. This idea that men shouldn't show emotions has been passed down now for thousands of years. This isn't the only social issue and definition that men are facing today, so I set out on my way to defining manhood. What does it mean to be a real man? A question as a teenager I had asked myself many times. According to a Google search, I found the reoccurring theme of needing to grow a beard, have a six-pack, lead my own successful business, and have girls swooning over me to be considered manly. Was that really what it means to be a man? I found a study conducted by Susan M. Alexander. She studied branded masculinity through Halloween costumes. She went through multiple columns of boys' Halloween costumes to gather data along with analyzing the market. In her findings, almost 30% of boys' costumes came with a weapon or indicator of violence, whether it be a gun, sword, knife, or other form of weapon. These costumes promoted physical violence of some sort to young males. Now, while Halloween is a time of trying to act scary or creepy, at the same time, what message does that portray for what's acceptable for boys growing up? Lots of young males today are taught and grow up with the false idea of needing to be violent and strong to be considered a real man. This article immediately took me back to elementary school. Elementary school is often where we start trying to impress others and stand out. For me, it was through my artwork. My sketches reflected my interpretation of manhood and how to prove myself as one. So I drew army rangers with tanks, gladiators with swords, and wrestlers with rippling pectorals, and other media-influenced definitions of manhood. I realized I grew up only seeing men in violent roles in TV and media, and thought that's what I should become. After realizing this, I wanted to see if other men thought the same, and see if they were influenced by these ideas growing up, and discover what their definition of manhood is. So I called, emailed, and came into contact with 3 individuals to interview. All 3 of these men came from different ethnic, financial, familial, and career backgrounds, and I interviewed them one-on-one and asked them, what does it mean to be a real man?
My name is Jacob. I am 22. I grew up in Hong Kong. Currently a student at a university in Utah, studying business. I think every day I wake up, I go to school, I try to go to the gym every day, and then I'll go to work, go home, do my homework, sleep, wake up the next day and do it all over again. What it meant to be a man, so not a boy, but like an adult man. But in my head, when I think of manly, I don't think of like a burly lumberjack with a beard, you know. I just think of someone who has his stuff together, someone who's responsible, someone who, you know, cares for others. We didn't really ever struggle for money or anything like that. We always had food on the table. I was really grateful for that. And so just seeing that, I guess, put an image in my head of what I want my family to be like in the future. And so be a good provider, be a good husband to my wife, or be a good father to my children. Strong is a lot of definitions. I don't think manly is a good word necessarily. I think a lot of, I guess it's hard because there's a lot of deadbeat dads around the world who are probably really physically strong, but I wouldn't consider them manly.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, someone who's manly is someone who's responsible, or someone who you know, takes care of those that he cares about. It's just someone who has his purpose in life, you know, has some idea of where they want to go and how to get there. Don't necessarily prescribe to the idea that you have to be a certain way because you have Y chromosomes in your body. To be a man, I don't know, I feel like it's personality traits overlap with just being a good person. I think a lot of the time. A man in my head is someone who's working, not necessarily job, but working towards something, rather than just like floating around in the air, you know, like a little bubble. Yeah, I mean, like, I have balls doesn't mean I have a man. I mean, I'm a man could mean that I'm a male, but doesn't mean that I'm a man. It's kind of hard. I don't know, I feel like this whole idea of being a man is a lot to do with just being a good person. Same thing as being a woman, right? Like, a lot of my head, and when I think of man, I compare it to what it is to be a boy rather than male versus female. So I don't know if that's what you wanted. But, you know, boy versus man, I was thinking more of within the male gender, what does it mean to be a man, rather than being a man versus a woman. So
Yeah, I'm Wayne, and last of Canada '93. But I'm from Wyoming, in a little place called Star Valley. Well, my sister used to call it Star Valley. There's times in our life when we actually didn't have any food. I remember a lot of times mother would come out and say, well, I don't know what we're going to have for supper tonight. There's no food in the house. My dad died when I was 8 months old, so I never knew him. And my mom was a good woman. We didn't have any property of our own, but I always worked for the farmers around the area. I was just 17 when I joined the Merchant Marines, and that was a good thing for me. It got me away. Riding horses was my big thing. I love to ride horses. Man, I'd get on those horses, and the faster they went, the better I liked it. Well, nobody taught me. I just had to do it the hard way. Well, I've never been one, so I don't know what a real man is. But what a real man means to me is that, well, he's got to be likable, he's got to be friendly, and he likes to laugh a lot, and he's just a nice guy to be around. And that's my idea of a good cowboy. Helping the old lady across the street, so to speak. Just be yourself. Don't try to be somebody you're not. Well, yes. They definitely should. Because they have feelings the same as anybody else, any woman or anybody, even animals has feelings the same as we do. It's very important. I don't think anything could be more important than that. And I'm not very prejudiced against the black people, because one of my best friends was a black man. And he was the best guy in the world. He'd give you a shirt off his back if you'd ask for it. And so I'm not a bit prejudiced against the black people, because there's a lot of good people in the black race.
To all three of these men, being a man was important. To be a man is to be a provider, protector, and a good friend. It doesn't matter your hobbies, education, career, but how you act with others and those around you. Being a real man doesn't mean I can just bench more than you. It means I'm helping others and building my community. Through this process, I found my personal definition of manliness. And for me, it's a combination of softness and boldness. As all three of the individuals talked about, we all have our own way of being manly. So, what does it mean to you to be a man?